Okay, so if you didn't watch the coloring page video, then this is another option. So let's just start by you guys checking your answers in your packets that you did. And so let's start by number 1 here. All right, if we look at this region, all right, essentially the dark in the middle, and it would go from here all the way to here, all right, with all these structures, okay? So we're gonna call that the renal medulla, okay? All right, and so I'm gonna erase that so that's nice and clean. All right, but that whole inside section, all right, is the renal medulla, all right? And I want to jump to number 5 because the renal medulla is made up of these structures here, okay? And so we're going to call those renal pyramids, okay? So cross off renal medulla, renal pyramid. Okay, I guess it's only one, so we can, okay. All right. When we look at number 2, we're looking at for another region. Now we're looking at this region, going from here to here. All right, and so like that's gonna be this whole part. All right, and so we're going to call that outer, more superficial layer renal cortex. Okay. Number 3, all right, is part of the cortex. Okay, so I'm just going to go and I'm going to make sure that we know this is a region. This is a region. This is a structure within a region. Okay. All right, and number 3 is another structure within a region. That's going to be called the renal column. Renal columns. And these are going to separate. All right, these are going to separate the pyramids from each other. Okay. So we have those all crossed off. Now we can look at number 4, which is this outer covering. See that area right there? Keep it going. Right, which is our protective covering called the renal capsule. Right. That again protects us against infection. Now we go to number 6, and number 6 is going to be at the apex of the pyramids. So we're looking inside, okay? Inside, okay? And those are going to be that are essentially the word for the apex is going to be the renal papilla or renal papillae. For plural. Okay. If we look at what the renal papillae drain into, that's where we're going to see these little structures. I'm going to kind of change colors here, make it a little bit more obvious. And so you have these little structures in here. Here's another one, 1, 2, 3. You have about 8 to 10 of them per kidney, maybe more or less depending upon the size. All right, but right in here, you have what's called your minor calyx or calyces. Okay, so let's go back here. Oh, can't see it. All right, and then let's cross that off. Number 8, your minor calyces will then drain into your major calyces. So let's go ahead and color those pink. So here's where all the minors meet. Here's one. Okay. I'll do that one there. Now let's do another one in orange. Okay, here's another one right here. And so you have about 2 to 3 of these per kidney, 2 to 3 major. Calyx. Okay. So this is going to be the neon green. Okay. And then the majors, all right, so now if you take a look, you can see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minors, all right, that drain into 2 majors. Those 2 majors will now drain into the center here, which is going to be referred to as our renal pelvis. And that is, again, another structure within a region. Okay, so the renal pelvis, I'm going to fix that because it looks ugly, will then connect to this structure right here. Which is called the ureter. Wait a second. I mixed them up, didn't I? Sorry. I wrote renal pelvis in the wrong spot. I was just thinking they were going in order, right? The renal pelvis is actually number 12. All right, and the ureter is going to be unlabeled, so we'll just add it here. Okay, and then if I go back to what we were talking about here, all right, this, and this all make up the renal sinus, which is going to be the region. Okay, so now if we work our way backwards, all right, you have number 11, which is going to be your adipose tissue. Okay, so let's cross off what we used. All right, that adipose tissue, again, is essential for help anchoring, but that's not really actually what number 11 is pointing to. It's pointing to from here to here, which is like this C-shaped entry area for the ureter, the renal artery, and the renal vein. So we're going to actually call that the renal hilum. It means a little hill, so it's got this little opening. Okay. And then number 9, you have your renal artery. Number 10, your renal vein. Sorry if that was confusing. I wasn't really paying attention to the numbers. I was just kind of going down. All right. So let's sort of put it all together now. Okay. If we're talking about the renal artery and the renal vein, 9 and 10, all right, are going to branch, and they're going to go kind of all in here around the pyramids. Okay. And so they'll do that. They're just gonna, oh, my pen's not working. They're gonna bring blood in to be filtered. All right, and then of course blood out, the renal vein and the renal artery will sort of be connected to each other. Okay, so they're gonna kind of branch like that. So blood comes into the kidneys. Inside the kidneys, you see these small, tiny microscopic structures called nephrons, which you'll learn about next. All right, that is going to be where this blood will be filtered and cleaned. All right, now urine will start to accumulate. It's going to run from, let's use this. Urine is going to come all the way, and it's going to collect here, right, at the renal papillae. So it's going to be formed in the cortex and the medulla. It's going to come and it's going to collect in the renal papilla. All right. The renal papilla will drain into the minor calyx, which will drain into the major calyx, which will drain into, and then the major calyces, the 2 of them will drain into the renal pelvis, right? The renal pelvis will drain into the ureter. The ureter will take that urine down to the bladder. Okay, so that's essentially the internal anatomy of the kidney. Okay, essential things to know. Again, the blood is coming in through the renal artery and the renal vein, getting filtered, and then coming back out with that clean, healthy blood that's going to now be delivered, all right, throughout your body. Okay, so next video is going to just go through a little bit more detail.